southwest of the country. We also saw yesterday an attack on the INEC local government office yesterday in Enugu, and we've also seen attacks. Unknown gunmen were said to have invaded the city of Onitsha yesterday, shooting sporadically, and at some point a police officer was said to have lost his life. What are we doing with regards to security? Because it does look like in some areas we're making gains, in other areas we're not doing so well. The question remains, what's causing this lopsidedness? What's causing the fact that we're seeing security seeming to, get its acts together in one area, but it would seem that other areas are not enjoying that security as they ought to. We have this morning with us Mr. Lawrence Alobi, who is a former commissioner of police in the Federal Capital Territory. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sure that, you were happy to see, at least, I don't know if you saw the news yesterday, but we also saw some returnees in Katsina who had been kidnapped for over 5 months, finally returned to their families yesterday. And, we've also seen the report in terms of the concerted efforts being, put together now by the different security agencies to combat banditry and kidnapping, particularly of school children in northern parts of the country. However, the southeast, which we had seen a lull in activities, seem to be experiencing a new rise in terms of activities of insecurity. The Enugu local government office of INEC was burnt down yesterday. We saw that on the news, and we also saw gunmen, attacking meetings and killing people in the process. Even in Kogi as well, there are reports of insecurity there. I do not know what your reading of the situation is, where it seems that we seem to be getting it together in one place, and in other places it looks like we're yet to really put a lead on things that are happening there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Security is concern of everybody, both the government, the people, and the security agency themselves. And there's no crime-free society from a sociological point of view. The point again is that how proactive are we? What lessons have we learned from past experience? There are so many factors that abate or promote insecurity, which sometimes are institutional, sometimes even the government also caused by government, sometimes also the government, the citizens' passive attitude, insensitivity to security, what is happening in the environment, assisting the police or the security agency. There are so many factors. But you see, again, majorly is that the police, which is the core, which is the lead agency, which is the principal agency in policing and law enforcement, has not been empowered to be able to effectively deliver on its mandate. In terms of today, we have about over 200 million Nigerians. The police less than 500,000 staff officers are men. And there are wastages every month. People are being retired, people are dying in the course of duties and so forth. And they know how many years and no recruitment. Some divisions don't have manpower again. The police said they're already remedying that they had the mandate of the president to recruit, I think, about 10,000 every year. Have they recruited? Have they recruited? It's not just, you see, let's walk our talk. They've recruited. That gap is there. And policemen suffer. In fact, no policeman works less than 12 hours a day. And then he's not given extra one kobo for doing that. So like I said, there's so many factors. One, again, in terms of training, human capital development. It's lack of funding. The police is not well funded. You see, funding is based on need. Budgeting is based on need. If the police now give this is what we need. For instance, said, Metropolitan Division require 10 vehicles. That's what we need 10 vehicles. But the government provided, as a DPO and area commander, I had a staff car. But now CPs have to buy the cars, private cars, to make them staff cars. It is as bad as that. You see? So again, when I was a junior officer, even as a police constable, I was in a mobile. When we go out for duties, they give us ration, give us allowances. But now it doesn't exist any longer. No motivation, no welfare. And funding is on the lowest ebb.
Well, it looks like it's the same old problem. You haven't heard. I think it was the I'm trying to remember where he visited right now. The IGP visited a particular state in recent times, and while he visited the people, he talked about welfare. He said, there is nothing which you're going to tell me about the police which I do not know about. In terms of the welfare, we're looking after that. We're going to do something. I think it was Kwara. He visited Kwara State recently, and talking to the men there, he said that there's nothing that they're going to tell him that he doesn't know about, that he's already handling a lot of the issues which they're facing. Are you not getting reports that indeed these things are getting better? At least there's steps being taken?
These are all political statements. Let's walk our talk.
The IGP was being political?
No, because it has been saying we're handling, they know this problem. He said he knows the problem. Has it solved the problem? The government developed the political way to solve the problem? In terms of funding, in terms of equipment. Technology today, policing and law enforcement is technically driven and knowledge-based. Knowledge-based that have to build the capacity of the men through training. No funding for training and no equipment. So most police command don't have communication system. Well, at least for one local government to communicate, it doesn't exist. Well, these are all the handicaps of policing. The IG would normally say, yes, we're doing, but that is reassuring the casualty. Reassuring the victim of the problem. That you have to reassure you. Of course, he has to build confidence. You have to make feel confidence. Build their confidence. Yes, don't feel that all is lost. All hopes are lost. You have to build their confidence. But then, how has that been achieved? The government developed the capacity, the willpower to do the right thing. You see, talk about police reform. Police reform the government has a role. The police leadership has a role. The citizens have a role. The government has a role in the sense that the government must say that the police are effectively funded. Section 14B of the Constitution provides that security and welfare of the citizens is the primary purpose of government. And Mr. President, all the governors and everybody has sworn on oath of office that they will uphold and defend the Constitution. Then the Section 14B, is that being upheld? Is that actually being enforced? No. Police internal security is key and central. Internal security is the type of security. Today, again, no lacuna.
But in spite of the challenges that remain, we've seen some progress in certain areas. How are they able to achieve this progress? And why does it seem like they're not able to make as much progress in other areas? Yeah,
they're making progress in the sense because of commitment. You see, when you work with a passion, you don't mind whether you have the resources. You want to put in your best effort to achieve the best result. That is commitment. That's dedication. And the police officers...
Police officers are committed in one area, but not as committed in other areas?
No, what I'm saying, they're committed, generally, they're committed. But it must also depend on the challenges that is confronting them. In terms of equipment, in terms of logistics, for instance, now in the police station, there are no vehicles to respond to distress calls. There's a problem of manpower need. Okay, then how would the policeman, what would the DPO do? DPO will not bring his wife or children come and police the division. It's based on the manpower he will deploy based on the manpower he has. So that's why the issue of recruitment should be taken seriously and urgently too. Not just we are doing. The leadership of, you see leadership is not followership. The political of the police, that the leadership has to be one. You have to have a vision. You have to have courage. You have a listening ear. You have to concern about the welfare of the men. As a senior officer, when we go out on operations, we are given our allowances. We are given dry ration. But now it doesn't exist. 2 years ago, let me tell you a story. Officer went on 12 hours on course in the Staff College Jaws. An officer sent me a message, my text message, that, sir, we know you can do this for us. We have been on course, other people are being paid, we're not being paid, and so forth. I told the text to the IG. I showed it to the IG. IG immediately called the CP budget, who is now DIG intelligence for first CID. Look at this, I directed them, they were paid the next day. So a leader must also have a listening ear. A leader must be concerned about how do the people feel.
How did that happen? I mean, so for that to have happened with immediate alacrity, as they like to say, it does mean that the funds were available. Was there a system within the police that was holding the allowance of those people?
Like I said, leadership is not followership. Leader must be committed to the needs of the men. Welfare of the men, motivate them. And then leadership not just leadership is all about controlling power or being powerful or being controlling what power and so forth. It is he who impacts on the people, he who empowers the people. Transformational leadership. Leadership that at least can add value.
What I'm saying is, he shouldn't have taken a call to the IG or a text message to the IG. There ought to be processes within...
No, because I was concerned.
Indeed. No, what I'm saying...
I was concerned.
And we appreciate that. Yes. But what I'm trying to say is, when men are sent on course, for instance, it should be taken for granted.
That is sensitivity in terms of the welfare of the men. If, and again, maybe the allowance were not provided, but when I went to the IG, he called the CP budget to his office. I went there on my own. That was about 2 years ago. I retired 2007. I went on last service at CP FCT. And that, you see, again, is that when we should be sensitive to what we can do to add value, to how to contribute, how to solve problem-solving approach to issues. I went to solve a problem. I had no interest there. But I see that I'm serving retired, my commissioner of police. It's my constituency. And that's why the more do everything I can within my power to assist and contribute towards the betterment of the force.
No, the problem I'm asking is what would have been responsible for somebody not paying these officers their monies, the monies that is due to them?
Yes, it happens. It depends again. Maybe the officer was not released to him, because sometimes like even when you go to the National Assembly, when money is being budgeted, release is a problem, or approval release is a problem. So if the funds are not released, what can you do? Because
this is something that is happening right within the rank and file of the police. Yeah. You know, oftentimes when we talk about provisions of funding and what have you, we're always talking to bodies outside of the police force. Right. Within the police force, you would think that there will be a little more empathy, there will be a little more how will I put it now? There'll be a little more understanding of the challenge, of the general challenges.
Concern.
Confronting the police, and so there will be a lot more effort within the police itself to manage whatever meager resources are there for the benefit of everyone. Yes. It doesn't seem that that is the situation.
No, that's why I said leadership, the quality and capacity of leadership also is important. Leadership must have vision, must have courage. Leadership that must be concerned about people that is result-oriented, leadership that is God-oriented. For me, I don't take excuses, and what I want is result. So the point is that officers, leadership of the force, or not only the force, all agencies, all institutions, should have empathy, compassion, the welfare of their men, motivation. Because that's how we make, like my people, they said, if a hunter is stand by the dog can catch a monkey. A monkey cannot climb a tree, but it is that motivation I give to the officer. Officer prepared to give his life. But when you put in your best effort, and at the end you are nobody cares about you, nobody cares about your families, nobody cares about your. Look, I go to see the police barracks. Go and see. I went to Calabar. I saw area commander working in a container. That is unacceptable. You don't create institution, create offices without putting the necessary infrastructures on ground. How can officer will take a statement under a tree? Why? Provide the necessary infrastructures. You need to expand. Provide the necessary infrastructures. So, I know the IG issue of funding is a problem, but the government itself should very, very concerned. In fact, the governments of this country have not done well. Have been unfair to the police. I'm telling you, not putting away sentiment, putting away any emotion. It is sure because the police is a principal agency. And again, one lacuna is that we don't have a national policing and law enforcement strategy in the country. The police now is like all common affairs. The police should have a national policing strategy and law strategy. They will give a focal leadership direction and what should be done. Even other services who are doing police functions, they will know what they should be doing. But now we don't have solid leadership, right?
Well, let's quickly flip this to Lagos. I know that my colleagues have questions for you, gentlemen.
Yeah, you know, since the manpower, funding, logistics, these are all recurring challenges with the police in the country at the moment. So would it be out of place to then reconsider reorganizing the security architecture of this country such that we'll have federal, state, and possibly local government police, since there are states, a number of them, who want to fund the police and get them equipped so that they can perform optimally?
Yeah, the point again is I've been this clamor for state policing. But for me, we've not evolved to that point. You see, we've not been able to develop that consciousness, Nigerian consciousness, national consciousness, where we see every Nigerian as one of us, and we need to bring our best interests of Nigeria. We are ethnic, parochial sentiment. Sometimes even religious sentiment. For instance, if you make a police now, maybe a state police, maybe state police in a particular state, a crime is committed from a different state, maybe from a different state. Let me say, for instance, somebody committed a crime, an Igbo man or somebody from the east committed a crime in the east against someone from Kano, and the suspect is in Kano, and you go to arrest him. The police, they may not cooperate with you. Because they tell you he's not the kind, you know. But with the federal police, the police officer can anywhere have power to arrest any part of the federation, so far as it is within the law, commit an offense within this view. So if we evolve to that state, I know like in the United States of America, we have UK, we have municipal policing, county policing, state policing in the US, but then we've not been able to develop that consciousness. Like Americans believe in America. Americans believe in America. But Nigerians don't believe in Nigeria. We believe in ethnic loyalties to our ethnic group. You know, loyalty to our tribal group. And that is
it comes across.
That's why the national orientation.
If I could just jump in, you know, when these kind of points are made, these arguments are put out there, it comes across as though we're incapable of addressing our own challenges, but that's not the case. Every part of this country will have very intelligent people who can address these concerns. All we need to do, what are the challenges here? Because you may assume as though it is the same kind of people, with due respect to them, that are in the police now that will form part of those that will make up the state and local government police, but it will not be. It will be a different kind of people that will be in those areas, and they will be able to carry out some of these things. So, and the things that we should debate, put out those concerns, make laws, there'll be guiding laws and principles. So that shouldn't be a problem.
No, I agree with you, that shouldn't be a problem. But the point is that political control, unnecessary control by the political class on police is the problem. It is the same policemen that will serve Nigerians who are going to be there. But the point is that how free is a police officer to perform his functions, perform his duties, right? In 1983, I was a DSP. I was DTO in Aba and in Kano. That election, general election in August 1983, and somebody came to the police station that some thugs came to his house with guns and attacked him in his house and so forth. And my DPO said, "Okay, Lawrence, follow him and go and see." When I got there, they found out that we saw three revolver pistols, 36 ammunition, and four bottles of acid in the car. He said the boys brought them. They had been detained. He brought the boys. The boys said, this car was hired during an election on Saturday. With the man, it was damaged by thugs from this party, so party, and they came to ask him to retrieve that car. He detained them. And the man, after interrogation, the man said, no, it's not. Then afterwards, one big man came, top shot. Then it was MPN and NPP. Came there and said, "Lawrence, what do you want? Take 25,000. Write report that this boy owned." I said, "If these boys were your sons, and I'm going to ride and do this, will you be happy?" I said, "God is an all-seeing God. I walk with the fear of God." And so I arrested him. I took him to the station. I called my ACCID, and we were detained. Later now, the case was taken from people. Say, "Oh, Adobe, you are finished. You are MPN. They will do this. They will transfer you." Nothing happened to me because then there was no unnecessary political control on policing. But today now, the unnecessary political control. So the point is that our politicians have not been able to decide themselves. They have not been able to mean that they are there to render service. They are there to make sure that for all citizens around within that state, would say the state, not necessarily party interest or ethnic interest. But we develop that consciousness. Of course, we should do that because our centralization too is not too good. Sometimes it takes bureaucratic bottleneck and so forth. So I think it is good. But when we develop that consciousness, when our politicians will give the police free hand to do their functions without necessary control. And that man, later who did that, he came back to thank me. One big man said, "Lawrence, I appreciate your principle and your courage." A police leader must have courage and conquer fear. Do the right thing. If you do the right thing, even that person that you did the right thing, even if it's against his interest, you come out to appreciate it because his conscience won't break him. So leaders we should all learn to do the right thing and do the right thing. Have to do the right thing at all times. Not minding whose ox is God.
Absolutely. Well said. But I just want to go back to something you said earlier, and this concerns the unfair treatment which you referenced by governments to the police. To properly contextualize it, is there any sector, ministry, or any area that the government has treated fairly compared to the police in successive governments, that is?
You know, these are notorious facts that are very known to everybody. We can see it. Look at it, for instance, in terms of salary. Let me ask, why should, if I made a 2-1, I made a 2-1 in Soka, Social Anthropology. My mates went to the Central Bank NNPC, they were paid double my salary in the police. Why should that be that? Why should it be so? Rather, my job is more risky than anybody who works in CBN and NNPC. But because it is because of that class. Oh, and again, our leadership of the force should fight for the welfare of their men. Not just accepting anything that is being given to you. For me, it is my men need to be motivated. We need to take care of my men. So the government, as I said, it is a notorious fact they have been unfair to the police. Right. I can tell you, as a DPO, I had a staff car. As a commander, I had a staff car. But now CPs have to be buying their own cars to make use of staff cars. That is not ridiculous.
So in terms of solutions,
some stations don't have patrol vehicles.
So in terms of solutions,
and the distress call, I cannot respond to distress call.
All right. So if you were to suggest, solutions, for example, would you say that then a police DPO or at a certain level should earn the same thing as perhaps a staff of the NNPC, which you referenced, or other government agencies? Do you think that will solve the problem?
No, the point is that police salary is the poorest ever. The poorest ever. I'm asking, because look at it in terms of risk. The risk of the policeman is 24, it's on duty 24/7. I would be like one time when I was in service, in FCT, there was an incident where a vehicle got burnt around near this hotel along the airport road. And at about 4:30 a.m., I left my wife on the bed and I went there. Some person who were burnt on that car. I had to leave my wife to respond. But can an NPC man leave his office at 4 a.m. to go and attend to a problem? Not at all. So, or CBN or this and so forth. But the policeman risks his life and time. He is alienated from the society, alienated from his family, because he might even have time for his family, because 24/7 is being called upon to render service. But then it's not being appreciated. Rather, look at what happened, policemen being killed. For what? And the citizens are the prime beneficiary of a safe and secure environment. A good effective policing is the citizens that will benefit when there's effective policing. And when the policing is not effective, the citizens will suffer. So therefore, incumbent on the citizens to cooperate and assist the police in ensure that they perform optimally. And again, the police should have to do something, which I need to recommend to the IG. You see, when I was PRO in the old Anambra State, as when I was a PRO in 1987-88, I had a program on NTA. Then Mr. Okaro was the director of programs. Every 30 minutes, we have a program where we police on the public. Through that program, I was able to endear the police to the public. Police officers were not paying money for public transport in Enugu then. So the police can also carry out a program. And the radio NTAs, all the various media houses can have their social corporate responsibility to assist the police, carry out programs to educate the citizens on their role in promoting peace and security. This is crime prevention advocacy. And to let the citizens know, when they know that they have a role to perform, but now they believe they have no role. They just believe there to be given security, and that they have no role. Life is based on principle of reciprocity. Life is all about service. How can I contribute? It's our society, our country. We need to all do everything. Everybody, the government, the police management, police officers, and the citizens should all collectively contribute towards a better police force. And again, the IG2 should other security agencies should learn from the function of what the Chief of Defense Staff is doing. Chief of Defense Staff is going around the whole country of the zones in the country to appeal for support and assistance of retired officers. Because right now, mentorship is lacking in the police force. No more mentorship. And to fill that gap, I think the IG and management team should ensure how to collaborate with retired officers. Because you don't buy experience from anywhere. These young officers who are now at the top there, they don't have the experience capacity, I need to say. And it is when they liaise with retired officers, they tap that gap will be filled. That collaboration and cooperation with retired officers, like the Chief of Defense Staff is doing, it will help to fill that gap. Because that lacuna, it is really a problem. I said also that this government, the police should have a national policing strategy so that we're able to take good focal leadership on policing and law enforcement in the country. Well,
it's certainly a fine place to leave it. You have made your points very clear. I'm hoping that, not just the government officials now, but also Nigeria Police Force and the leadership of the Nigeria Police will continue to take the baton and make a case for the wonderful officers in our Nigeria Police Force. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Mr. Lawrence Alobe is the former commissioner of the police in the Federal Capital Territory. Thank you once again.
It's my pleasure.